Okay, and then our 3-year anniversary of our very first interview. We have on Tuesday, the 24th, I believe. Yeah, the 24th we have T.Y. Jackson, and on the 25th we have the Queen of Asia, Alexis freaking Lee, our first ever interview from Singapore. So starting the third year of interviews with a bang. Alright, I believe we're done putting ourselves over. So we it's a great day for wrestling because we are wrestling with the news. And boy, was it a newsworthy week since the last time we've been on air. Um, and it's a little hard to kind of piece everything together, honestly, to see what happened when. So let's just start off with what happened last Saturday, and that is Ricky Starks and Big Bill defeated FTR for uh, the AEW Tag Team Championships. Kaliko, what the fuck?
Well, reigns don't last forever, obviously. So, uh, I, as bad as it was, I mean, FTR was gonna lose, and the question was to who. And it's good that they lost to a team that kind of got that. I mean, that team, even though it's relatively new, they got the rub, the rub of beating one of the best tag teams. See, that was the key, right? Like, if you want your champions to lose, you want them to lose to someone not only putting them over, but making that team look serious, right? So Ricky Starks and our big guy, I like to call him Big Cass for some odd reason. I still like calling him Big Cass, but they wouldn't have got taken seriously. It's kind of like what I keep telling you when people first turn heel, like, or you usually want to see that benefit immediately because that's the trade-off that you know what I'm saying. The
Right.
trade-off is for that quick benefit, and that is to me. I've always been a fan of that because if you're turning heel just to turn heel and lose, what's the point, right?
Right.
Unless it's like something personal. But if you're turning heel, or like if you're doing something where you want to be taken seriously, them beating the best tag team and winning the belts is like holy shit. You might want to kind of look at these guys, right? And that also makes them look formidable from here on out because keep in mind they did something the Bucks couldn't do the last couple months, and people consider the Bucks the best tag team ever, along with FTR.
My thing about it is Ricky and Bill are singles wrestlers, and Ricky was on a singles run. It has been stop and start for obvious reasons, but if you're trying to promote a guy like Ricky Starks, why are you giving him a tag title? Wouldn't it be more beneficial to give him the TNT title, the North Atlantic Eastern European All the World Championship? Put him in a feud with MJF. Why did he need a tag team championship? Especially considering how great his tag team with Hobbs was back in the day. Like, what? That's like 2 years ago.
Yeah, that was 2 years ago when they should have won it.
Yeah,
But it's kind of like is one better late than never. We'll go that route, and then two, just to me, the things that happened to him were beyond his circumstance,
right.
right? It is not like, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
he kind of got lost in the shuffle due to things that happened beyond his control. Because I really think maybe he brought. I'm betting you he was supposed to beat CM Punk for the real, quote unquote, real world title. And then all that went to shit. So they're like, oh, well,
give him
you
a
got to do
belt.
something. Right? You know what I'm saying? So, So that's where I would lean towards more towards that part of it happening, and it's good for Bill too because it's like what I'm saying, his first world title, and
Because he
it's a
wasn't getting no
big
belt
redemption.
if it wasn't before Ricky.
I mean, yeah, it wouldn't, but it's also a redemption story for that guy because you remember, man, when he left WWE, he went through it.
He did.
He went through it, and he came through on the other side right now. So that's a huge congrats to him as far as his determination and persistence. So I mean, it's a what the fuck, but for Ricky, it was kind of like, okay, we see why they did it, and for Bill, it's like, well, shit, redemption.
Can I play conspiracy theorist for a minute? I think the reason that they put the legitimate reason they put the titles on Bill and Starks is because FTR didn't want to put over the Bucks. Because we all know the Young Bucks are, they have the number one contender spot, and they had their little best of three, and it did seem like it was going to be the best of 82 at this point between them, which I could understand FTR not wanting to do. You had that rivalry, you put a little nice bow on it. You have the same type of rivalry scenario with um what are their names? The Briscoes and DIY and a lot of other great tag teams. So why not just end it there? They're not going to. They said they have like 3 more years until they're not a tag team anymore. Why soil what they had with the Young Bucks by making it overkill? You know what I mean?
I mean, I could see it, but I could see where you're saying delay the inevitable for the end. But everybody knows they're going to fight each other 1,000 times. To me, the Bucks and FTR are AEW's version of Georgia and Alabama. It's just the basis of like who do you prefer, and those two are pretty much the tag team division. But there were so many teams that kind of got fell by the wayside because of them too. So they need to build a depth in that division because they're not going to be there forever.
Something we may have thought would be forever. Monday Night Raw, depending on when the new negotiations start for the TV rights, may not be on Monday nights anymore under Endeavor. If Raw was to leave Monday nights, how would you feel about that, Kaliko?
I don't know. Been so used to them for so long, right? On Mondays,
I mean, there was like a
it wouldn't be. It wouldn't.
there was only like a
It wouldn't
few
be Monday
times it
night.
was on Thursday.
It would be like Monday. It wouldn't. It wouldn't mean it. It would be like what the hell. But I mean, but like they say, not everything. I mean, if the Simpsons could stay on Sunday for damn near my whole life, why can't Monday Night Raw stay on Monday? But then again, I get it because it's like that Monday night. I think it's a Monday night football thing, but that's only like 4 months out the year that they have to deal with that.
Right. I
So it's not like overkill. Because what day would they do? Because you can. So like right now, between college and the NFL, there's literally a game on every day for the rest of this season, for the rest of like the rest of the year. So what would be the benefit of moving on Monday?
And you're gonna confuse a lot of people, I think, as well. It's Monday Night Raw. It's always been Monday Night Raw. What is it going to be? Tuesday Night Raw, Thursday Night Raw, completely kill AEW Wednesday Night Raw
Friday Night Raw.
right after Friday Night SmackDown per month.
I know, right?
5 hours of pro
Combos.
wrestling.
I mean, basically the Wrestle Kingdom.
I don't. I guess it would be something that I would have to accept because I'm not looking to give up Monday Night Raw, Raw right now. But like
I'm not.
I just said Monday Night Raw again, and I'm not. I should say I'm not willing to give up Raw right now. So I guess whatever day it's on, I'm gonna have to watch it. So I guess that's what they're going with as well. That being said, if you believe the rumor and innuendo, Triple H has 99% control of the creative in WWE currently. And Vince McMahon is just working on the business side of WWE. Um, do you actually believe this? And if you do believe this, how long do you think it's actually going to last until Vince McMahon puts his foot down and says, "We're bringing back Suffer and Succotash"?
Well, it's I would give it a 99.9% chance. And the reason being is because now it's two different companies and Vince is no longer in charge. So Vince has a boss that he has to report to. That one thing people kept saying, Vince is God. Well, with this Endeavor thing, he kind of gave it up because it's no longer just his pot. It's a bigger pot. It's a bigger pie, but his slice is not as big as it once was.
Right,
And I think they Endeavor understanding the tea leaves of what happened before all this even started would probably be like, yeah, it's best to keep your ass away. So I mean, and plus they can read a locker room. Everybody kind of wants Triple H anyway. So
you, so you're saying that Endeavor might actually do what's best for business rather than what Vince McMahon wants?
they would have to because it's not just WWE, it's UFC now. So it's two companies in one, and what one could happen will affect the other. It's not like WWE with the pro public stock and it's just affecting their revenue. But what Vince does affects everyone's revenue now. So that's why I think it's not going to happen.
All right. Um, Randy Orton is expected to be back sooner rather than later. Um, I believe they said next month, Survivor Series. We could see the Viper back in action. Where exactly does Randy Orton fit in the scheme of things now that, his go to rivalry is no longer there?
Surprise comeback. Um, him and Cody can have a little thing. So I mean, they'll find a spot for him. He's
You know, my thinking is you got. I don't believe we've seen Roman and Randy in a rivalry in this current rendition of Roman. I think we were heading towards a Randy Roman rivalry before he left to get the back surgery. So drawing him in against Roman makes sense to me. A rivalry with Jey Uso wouldn't necessarily suck if they went that route, considering Jay was one of the responsible parties for injuring him in the first place.
Yeah, I mean that would further complicate the Jay Uso hurdle that Raw is going through right now,
Right.
and I think they would need. I think they need that, or he could go to SmackDown and deal with Jimmy. But I don't see. I see. I can't see him going back straight to Roman because that kills LA Knight because it looks like LA Knight is on a collision course to Roman.
Um, I don't know, honestly. That's a the thing
I
about
think so.
the
He
thing
brought
about
him up. Heyman came out. Jimmy's trying to show he's the guy. Cena gives him the validation. Now, I'm not saying he's going to win, but
right.
I think it leads to it. You know what I'm saying?
If I'm being 100% honest, LA Knight doesn't necessarily need a title match right now. He's on the way up. He's not at the top right now. And I think it would be more beneficial if they kept him away from Roman, honestly, to keep his momentum going. Because having okay, you lost to Roman Reigns, whip de doo. You're in an elite club now. It really doesn't do anything for him. If I'm being honest, he has the support already. You know what I mean?
That's true, but eventually, I mean that's gonna come to head eventually. I'm not saying is it going to happen in the next 3 months? No, but it you can make the argument he's a Royal Rumble favorite along with Jay
Okay.
to get to Roman.
Well,
You see what I'm saying?
yeah, I got you.
So that's what I'm looking at. I'm not looking at it like within the next. I don't think it's going to happen at Survivor Series like a 1-on-1. I think it's going to get to teams. Then it's going to keep Jimmy's going to keep being in the way. He's going to antagonize Roman, and then Royal Rumble comes. He could either be the challenger for the title at that point, or be in the Royal Rumble, in which he wins and he gets the title shot.
Well, I think that brings us to the thing that probably everybody is listening for, and that is the Tuesday Night War. Did you watch it? What did you prefer?
I mean, I watched it, and NXT was. I mean, I know why they did it because and that's how they should do it. But then again, let's see. Me personally, I liked NXT because it just seemed like it's slowly getting back to what NXT used to be,
Yeah,
and that to me is a win for them, right? Promoting new stars while having them mingle with the older stars. And getting that rub. Tom Breaker getting that rub. Mello Hayes getting that rub. Oscar coming back. Cody announcing the Dusty Classic, which what they need because that tag team division in NXT is whoo whoo. And then you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So in terms of short term, they won in the ratings, but in the long term, they won in the fact that they were able to commingle stars that people knew with people that they're trying to get them to know.
I got you. And
And that to me been the disconnect because remember NXT's biggest disconnect is not when they're in NXT, it's when they get to the damn main roster.
right. That being said, um, what about AEW?
AEW was good. Swerve is Swerve. Um, Tony's Tony. I mean, they got good pieces. Honestly, I think it was a good night for wrestling in general. You know what I'm saying? So I don't look at these things as a war, as a who won, who lost. I just looked at it like we all benefited because of the fact that at one, everybody's eating in the wrestling business, which is really, really good. And then B, we have choice.
Right. And it's been quite some time before, well, since I've gotten excited for, just wrestling on a weekday that wasn't a PLE or something of that nature. Um, so you're right. It was definitely a good night for just wrestling in general. Don't you think everybody felt that way? And we'll get to that in a little bit. Um, but NXT did outdraw AEW. I believe it was 92,000, and AEW drew 600,000, I believe. You could get the exact numbers somewhere that isn't isn't here. Um, but at the end of the day, WWE did what they wanted to do, and that was they stacked the show in order to get the people to watch their show rather than AEW. So, in a way, you can say that they succeeded where AEW failed. Kaliko?
Well, that was the name of the game. Get more eyes on your product. And like they say, WWE got more in their war chest. Because they pulled Taker's ass out. You know, you know it's some shit when they pulled Taker's ass out. And then Tony Khan. Okay, Tony Khan. It doesn't matter if they couldn't get a mill. The fact that they can say, hey, I'll pull out Cena on your ass, Taker on your ass, Cody on your ass, Asuka on your ass. They, they have it in the war chest to pull it if they need to. And they thought it was a deeming to need to. Now, granted, NXT always was kind of been seen as a semi third brand, and this kind of solidified it. So, I mean, hey man, just take the L and move on.
Well, Tony Khan did not move on. Um, he's freaking out on Twitter. Um, he's going rampant on Twitter. I believe it started even before the Tuesday Night War started. With him calling Shawn Michaels a bald bastard. He brought up he took a shot at Vince McMahon, referring to his allegations. And then, like you said, after the Tuesday Night Wars ended and, the dust was settled and they lost, oh, well, they had the better show. Is Shawn Michaels the best booker? He doesn't think so. John Cena and Undertaker for the first time couldn't draw a million viewers. This is not, and it seems like the wrestling world is unanimous on this. Even AEW fans are like, dude, shut the fuck up. You lost. Just take the L. Some people says, he needs somebody to monitor him and what he's doing, because it doesn't just look bad on him, it looks bad on his company as well. No?
Yeah, because I mean, if this was Vince doing that, what would everybody say? And that's all I gotta say. If this was Vince acting in this way, what would people say? Get a fucking grip, take the L, you piece of MOL. MFer. But, I mean, but he's got a lot on his plate, you know. I think ever since CM Punk got fired, he's bold. Honestly, I think he's a bold motherfucker. Ever since he sat there and told everybody what was up with it, and I think that was like his Vince McMahon moment, the Brett Scoop Brett.
Well, I
So
mean, I guess
that's
owns
him
it.
now. He's him now. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's him. He owns it now.
I I don't know. It just seems like if you go to Reddit, you'll see a lot of fucking funny things to said about Tony Khan by AEW fans, nonetheless. Um, is Tony Khan losing a grip on his own company slash reality? Because that's kind of what it seems like from the outside looking in.
That I can't tell for sure. I just, to me, I just see it as this one time he took a bitter L and he just wanted to, do some pot shots.
How could you take the pot shot when you lost? You get to
That's
take
the
the
point.
pot shot when you win.
No, no, no. You can take pot shots when you take an L too.
But it just,
Don't mean it's valid, but you can.
I don't know. It just seems.
Honestly, I'm just kind of over this ratings stuff because everybody streams. So what?
Right.
Where ratings are no longer what they mean.
And that's
So
correct.
there you go.
Somebody put it most poignant on, I believe it was Reddit. Tony, it was the worst night in Tony's, it was the worst Tuesday for Tony. It was just a normal Tuesday for HBK.
Well, considering what HBK went through in his life, anything seems normal at this point. Just saying, like, it's just top playing etiquette right there.
I mean, if we're talking about newsworthy things to mention on both shows, then who are you? Sheeta recaptured the AEW Women's Championship. I could make the argument that she should have lost it in the first place. I understand why she lost it. And Soraya definitely should have held it as long as she actually did. So if they did one thing right, I would say that was it. Kaliko?
Yeah, but you knew she was going to lose once it was in London, right?
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things where once I saw a title change, that tells me the main title's not changing for shit. They're not shifting everything at once, right? It's like when you're turning the volume, you're not turning it from 0 to 100. It's got to go through all the little levels, and they're like, nah. It's kind of like when Uso and Cody won the belt. I was like, well, there goes Nakamura's chance. He ain't winning shit tonight.
If we could go back to Tony Khan for a minute. Um, well, actually, no. Let's go back to what happened on AEW. Um, the segment with MJF and Jay White, Juice Robinson. Juice pulled out a roll of quarters with Max's name on it, And if you know the Juice Robinson character, if you've been watching what he's been doing in the last year or so, you know that he's been hitting people with rolls of quarters for quite some time. It's not something new. Um, I'm not sure if that's been something that's been featured on AEW or not. But people took it as an anti-Semitic message from AEW.
Anti-Semitic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
anti-Semitic. And considering what else is going on in the world, they said that it was in poor taste. Unfortunately, we do not have our resident Jewish person in the building tonight, so we cannot ask him if it was in poor taste. I will I would just say that it was maybe a gross oversight on AEW's part. I don't necessarily think it was as intentional as people are making it out to be. Um, but it was definitely something that they should have maybe thought about before actually doing. What say you, Kaliko?
I mean, but then again, who's going to tell them no?
Right.
Like who? You see what I'm saying? Like that's the part where AEW lacks because it's the Wild Wild West. This is where you had this thing. It's called a locker room leader, but I mean that's you can't sit there and say that they're in poor taste, but you want them to be anti WWF. Like you can't have one without the other.
Well, AEW was called out by a TMC personality. Excuse me. Um, that said called them out for being anti-Semitic and not watching the show anymore. And Tony Khan,
TMZ,
yeah, Tony Khan.
really? Like no, we're good. You can skip TMZ. TMZ ain't got no say anything.
No, hold on. This is where it gets good. Tony Khan personally DM'd him on Twitter to bash him for his opinions on this segment and his opinion on AEW. And
I mean, he's on Twitter fingers mode. Trigger fingers turn to Twitter fingers.
you could say whatever you want about Vince McMahon, of how he reacts and how he does things. Vince McMahon would have never personally singled out somebody on social media to bash them and tell them that they don't know what they're saying about his product.
Because that's rule 101. Like, never. Because when you respond to the direct person, that means that they got you, right?
Right.
That's rule number one. But but I think it's just a culmination of things that Tony has been taking because he's been having to take so much defense after that CM Punk fire that he's just leaning into defending himself at all times.
Do you feel like he's alienating his crowd against him?
No, because the base is there. He's probably alienating casuals, but the base is going to be there regardless. He's got a solid base.
Well, I think that should take us over to NXT. Well, definitely a shot fired in the best way possible. Jade Cargill made an appearance on NXT TV, and we got our first look at Brian King, originally Brian Pillman Jr. He filmed an incredible promo promoting him coming into NXT. Um, Where was this sign of Brian Pillman in AEW? Was he not given that direction, or was he not be was he not given the ball to show this side of himself?
A little bit of both, because keep in mind he went in with a guy as a tag team, so it was kind of hard to break out of that tag team mold. Because I'm trying to think, other than Hobbs, Starks and Hobbs that broke up. I'm trying to think of any other tag teams that just blatantly broke up.
I mean, there was a few,
And
but I can't think of any.
I'm just saying, like, significant tag teams that broke up, and you can't find it. So, and even if they did break up and let him find his footing, where was he going to find his footing? Because they have these things where wins and losses matter, and you just look at that roster and you're like, where the hell was he going to find his win? Maybe Darby Allin, but I mean, where was he going to find it? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Hell, Scorpio Sky was trying to find his footing. So, I mean, it NXT is giving him that reign, and then he's already taking advantage of it. They have him in the back pocket, and they put him to use. All right, ho ho. And then another Jade Cargill showing.
Alright, is there anything on the NXT show you'd like to go over? Or should we get into our last reviews?
Paul Heyman looking at Braun Breaker. You might want to keep your eye on that.
Paul Heyman talking to Ava Raine.
That too.
Yeah.
So keep your eye on those two things. I think he sees Breaker as his next Lesnar.
And the last bit of news, Ric Flair did an interview, and he said he wants to have one more match. How surprised are you, Kalika?
Surprised his ass want one. Yes, very surprised. Boy, go home. Go home. Like, go and rap videos. You got so many ways to make money, homie. Just go home. For all our sakes. For just not your sake, all our sakes.
Oh my god. Yeah. The Ric Flair's last match, part 2. Will he die this time?
I feel like it's like part 38 because you had the WWE, the TNA, then this, and whatever. He's starting to get to Terry Funk level with this shit.
I think that he can't see the Terry Funk at this point.
True. But it's one of those things. He's been doing it so long. That's all he knows. And if you read the book, and I have the book, the book of him and Charlotte. When he retired from WWE, he's waking up with cold sweats because he's just like, I got to do it. It's really an addiction for him.
Right.
I mean, so in looking at that context, I could see it, but boy, go home, go home, stay home. No, not even go home, stay home.
That will conclude our coverage of the news. And now a quick word from us.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.